Hi and welcome to One Week at a Time. My name's Brett Burden. You may have heard of the saying, if you're not growing, you're dying. And to best illustrate an example of that, I've used the humble flower, carnations, as I've drawn here. I hope you like my illustrations. So the concept is, whilst the flower is in the bush or on a vine or whatever, the sun's shining, photosynthesis is doing its thing, and nutrients are being fed from the ground, so the flower is able to live and grow and survive. As soon as you cut that flower from the vine or bush, then of course that flower is now not able to grow. In fact, it is now starting the process of dying. And when I talk to a lot of business owners, they talk in the way that their business is not growing. And of course, if it's not growing, then I use the example of, in fact, it's potentially dying, okay? And it's not dying because it can't grow. It's dying because you aren't feeding it. It's dying or not able to grow because, when you first get involved in business, you're rather excited and you're learning, you're taking in all this new knowledge, and you get to a certain point where perhaps you get comfortable or whatever it is, but you get to this point where you plateau a little. And really what's happening there is you're just not gaining the knowledge that you need to be able to take the next step. So often people say, I've got to this point and I can't get through the glass ceiling. And of course, there is no such thing. That's a myth. The glass ceiling is a myth, and I'll explain what I mean by that in a minute. But what is actually happening, and this is something that you might want to have a look at. So the 4 spheres is a video, 1 week at a time video I did way back at the start. And it talks about the 4 areas of business being leadership, operations, marketing, and finance. And back in that video, we talk about the fact that if you don't have a strong understanding of all of these areas here, if you don't have a balanced understanding, then your business is not going to be able to grow because you've got something that's pulling it back. You'll have a weakness in one of these areas here that's not allowing the business to take the next step. As we know, the business or things can only grow to the extent of their weakest link. So we need to determine, identify where your weakest link is, get educated in that area. Because, one of the things I can say for sure, with all the businesses that I've worked with over decades, it's not the decisions that people make that have the business fail or have it not grow. It's the decisions that they don't make. It's the lack of decision making. And the only reason people don't make decisions is because they're not educated in that area, or they don't feel they are, they don't feel confident enough, and therefore they don't make the decision and it doesn't go anywhere. So, let me show you an example. This is the illustration that I use with my clients to help them understand this glass ceiling thing here is an absolute myth. So the idea is, what they're saying to me is the business, the balloon is our business, and it gets to a certain point and it just can't seem to get through. That's rubbish. Take that away. What we've got is tethers holding the business back. And if we break those tethers down to those 4 areas where we say maybe operations, leadership, finance, and sales, one of those areas is pulling the business back to the balloon back to the ground. We need to identify what that is and then break that tether so it allows the balloon business to take the next step. It may not necessarily just float away after that, because as we know, business is always interesting things that go on, and there's always things that we need to be learning and educating ourselves on. So there may be another tether now that's tight, and we've got to identify which one that is and then go through and break that off and allow the business to, over time, take the steps it needs to and grow and break through that perceived glass ceiling. I hope that illustration helps you understand the importance of understanding and the importance of gaining knowledge. You'll know when I do 1 week at a time, I'm always talking about different books or videos or seminars or even documents that we may have. So maybe if you feel you've got a weakness in a certain area that I've talked about today, what you might want to do is go back through some of the 1 week at a times, and if there's one in particular on that subject, have a look at it, and you'll know that in there somewhere I've recommended a book or a document or something, and make sure you get hold of that, get yourself some knowledge around that area, break that weakness and allow the business to take the next step. Have a great week. Look forward to talking to you next time. Bye for now.